World War I, also known as the Great War, lasted from 1914 to 1918. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, involving most of the world's major powers. The two sides were the Allies, including Britain, France, Russia, later Italy, and the United States, versus the Central Powers, led by Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. This was the first modern industrial war, fought with tanks, machine guns, submarines, and airplanes. By the end, millions were dead, empires had collapsed, and the world was changed forever. Causes of the war. Historians often summarize the causes of World War I with the word M.A.I.N. Militarism. Countries built huge armies and navies, especially Germany and Britain. Alliances. Nations promised to defend each other, so one conflict could trigger a chain reaction. Imperialism. Competition for colonies in Africa and Asia created tension. Nationalism. Different ethnic groups wanted independence, especially in the Balkans. The spark came on June 28, 1914, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia supported Serbia, Germany backed Austria-Hungary, France supported Russia, and when Germany invaded Belgium, Britain joined the war. Within weeks, the whole of Europe was at war. The fronts and major battles. On the Western Front, Germany planned to quickly defeat France through Belgium, in what was called the Schlieffen Plan. But at the Battle of the Marne in 1914, the French and British stopped the advance. Both sides then dug long trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland. For 4 years, trench warfare created a deadly stalemate. Battles like Verdun in 1916 and the Somme in 1916 caused millions of casualties with very little land gained. On the Eastern Front, fighting was more mobile. Germany defeated Russia at Tannenberg in 1914. But the Russian army kept fighting until 1917, when the Russian Revolution forced them to withdraw from the war. Other theaters included the Middle East, where Britain fought the Ottoman Empire and encouraged Arab revolts, led by figures like Lawrence of Arabia. Italy also joined the Allies in 1915 and fought Austria-Hungary in the Alps. Even Africa and Asia saw battles, as European colonies were drawn into the conflict. Technology and warfare. This war introduced terrifying new technologies. Machine guns and artillery made charging across no man's land nearly suicidal. Poison gas caused horrific injuries. Tanks were introduced by the British in 1916. Submarines, especially German U-boats, attacked Allied shipping. And for the first time, airplanes and zeppelins were used in battle. World War I was truly the first industrial-scale war, where modern science and mass production were turned into weapons of destruction. Turning points. 2 key events in 1917 changed everything. First, the Russian Revolution. The Tsar was overthrown, and the Bolsheviks took power. They pulled Russia out of the war with the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918. Second, the United States entered the war. Germany had resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, sinking American ships, and even sent the Zimmermann telegram, encouraging Mexico to attack the U.S. This pushed America into the war. U.S. money, supplies, and fresh troops gave the Allies a huge advantage. End of the war. In 1918, Germany launched one last desperate attack, known as the Spring Offensive. At first, they made progress, but the arrival of American forces turned the tide. The Allies pushed back in what became known as the 100 Days Offensive. By November, Germany was exhausted, starving at home, losing on the battlefield, and facing revolution. On November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., Germany signed an armistice. The Great War was over. Consequences. The cost was staggering, over 16 million people dead and 21 million wounded. Four great empires collapsed: Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman, and Russian. New nations like Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia were created. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles placed full blame on Germany, forcing them to pay huge reparations, lose colonies, and cut down their military. Many Germans saw it as unfair, planting the seeds for World War II. The war also changed society. Women joined the workforce, new technologies spread, and the League of Nations was created to try to prevent another global war, though it would ultimately fail. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. But instead, it set the stage for an even more devastating conflict just